Hi guys, I recently saw a thread or post on here about double and triple tonguing using the TCE. I think maybe I made a YouTube video on that subject a long time ago, like more than 5 years ago, and I don't really remember what I would have said at the time. But basically, I would say that there are just a few things that you can think about in order to aid your practice of this technique. Um, First and foremost, I just have to say I think that the best way to get consistent um, results with this technique is to study Bob Civiletti's 5 articulations. One of those is actually alternating between the spit attack and what he calls the goo attack, which for all intents and purposes is the same as a K tongue. You know, it's articulating further back in the mouth. Um, I find that when I have a routine based upon the 5 articulations exercises, um, something that lasts half an hour, 45 minutes that I do 2 or 3 times a week, then the tongue position is just ingrained, and it's become something you can't stop doing, which is, you can't stop doing it right, which is exactly what we're really after here. Um, so that's the thing, is that those exercises involve tonguing with different parts of the tongue. They help to strengthen the tongue, they help to reinforce the tongue position, and obviously then you can take them further into a sort of a double and triple tonguing effect. So if I was just to demonstrate the do goo, as Bob calls it, which is the spit attack alternating with the goo attack, I would just take an exercise like this and go back and forth between two harmonics, 7 fingerings down, 7 fingerings up again, and it's spit attack first, and then, so in this case it will be the higher note will be spit attack, the lower note will be goo attack, and you can do it both ways round, obviously, to to cover all bases. So yeah, it would have helped if I'd emptied my water first. And so hopefully you can hear that, my intention with that is to get the most even sound between both. I'm barely moving the tongue at all when I do either of those articulations. That kind of brings us on to what then happens when you go into a double and triple tonguing. Now, I think that when I practice these exercises a lot, I really feel all of the action happening up behind behind the top teeth. Now that's, obviously that's a really traditional way to think of it, but of feeling the attack happening up here. But my tongue, the tip of my tongue is always on the bottom lip, and I can always feel the inside of my top lip with the surface of the top surface of my tongue as well. So even though I'm articulating up there, my tongue is here. It is between the teeth, anchored to both lips at all times. Now, because of that sensation, when you then speed this thing up and turn it into a double or triple tongue, it feels like the tongue is moving a lot more, and that can make you question whether or not you're doing the technique correctly. What I would say is that the back of the tongue will and should move, but the front of the tongue, you should try to keep it as static as possible. And so when you that's double tonguing, and that is with the tip of the tongue anchored on the bottom lip, and feeling in here with the top of the tongue, and obviously you can say sort of the more you're feeling your top teeth with the sides of the tongue as well, because the tongue is flat and wide. And then a triple tongue. works like that. Okay, I've got two further thoughts. So this is going to be, okay, it's probably going to be a 10-minute video. Two further thoughts. Number one is I always used to say to people that when you're learning to double and triple tongue because you need it for a piece of music and you've got some kind of urgency, and we can't just have this slow progress over time, what I would say is practice it in two ways. You want to practice it extremely slowly and absolutely perfectly, and then as quick as possible and in any way that works, which may even involve releasing the tip of the tongue from the bottom lip. I tend to say you should at least be tonguing on the lips, like this, in that way, but for the sake of building up the habit, just do it in any way that works. Alternate between that absolute perfection that's very slow and playing it as quickly as you can in any way that works. And over the course of a week or two, those two extremes just come closer and closer together till you get to this point where they're indistinguishable, and all of a sudden, yes, the way that you do it is correct. Obviously, always use your sound as a guide. That's like a number one trumpet rule. It's a number one TCE rule. You can hear whether you're articulating properly because you should have that clean popping attack. The other thing is refer to the Jerome Callett's Mastering Super Chops DVD, because on that there's a whole thing about double and triple tonguing where he alternates with him, and it's not him that's playing, but Shabba Kellerman, who is alternating between spit buzzing and playing. So they go, and then he picks up the trumpet and goes, and so it's just that, it's the going backwards and forwards between the spit buzzing and the playing. I think that really helps as well to reinforce it, but you do get this, it's a slightly different result from, the exercise-based approach. So that's just something worth trying as well. Obviously you can do that with the double tongue, so, oh, that was awful. So, you can literally just do a bar at a time, spit buzz then play, spit buzz then play, and go back and forth between those two things. I think maybe the last point I'll make, and just so that I'm not talking forever and you can use this information rather than just listening to me talk about it, is do consider your equipment. I'm playing on, this is my CJ Mod model mouthpiece from neotericbrass.com. It's based on the Callett Jazz Cup with the Super Chops 3 rim. But the reason I'm telling you this is because this has quite a high alpha angle. It's more like the feel of a V cup than a normal, other Super Chops mouthpieces, or say my Artiste or Legacy. I know that the person who posted the question about the double and triple tonguing has my Legacy model mouthpiece, so it's particularly relevant to them. A rim with a lower alpha angle and some, as you would call it, bite that you can feel on the chops, that will always help your attacks be cleaner. That's one of the things I really have to work on. I love the way that this mouthpiece sounds and the control and the range of different tones I can make with it, but articulation is a little bit more challenging. Now, obviously you can hear that I don't actually struggle to play with a clean attack, but I do have to practice. The point I was going to make about equipment is not relating to mouthpieces that I make and sell, but if you were to consider that most people who are playing music that involves a lot of double and triple tonguing, they're probably going to be more on that, what we would call legit side, that classical approach to playing. And so they're going to be playing on deeper mouthpieces and maybe not such a flat rim and a more pronounced bite on the inside edge. And all of those things will make double and triple tonguing a lot cleaner. Um, People talk about small mouthpieces being a way to cheat in terms of playing higher and longer, which obviously is absolute nonsense. But the truth is that I would say, well, I can't then turn around and say, but the truth is, because that's also an opinion. But if you had a Bach 1.5C, for example, or Vincent Bach 3B, or something like that, Schilke 14, um, making a clean sound, um, doing these sorts of complicated articulations is a much easier thing to do. It's much easier to play, to have that control, because the mouthpiece requires you to be less accurate. That's the trade-off of using a small mouthpiece, is that you actually have to train yourself to be super accurate, um, in exchange for all the benefits. So anyway, there we go. That's my thoughts on the double and triple tonguing for TCE players, how to develop it, how to and what results you can get in it. Thank you for watching.